That is fucked up. I'm cautiously optimistic, sir. Hit points aren't required to die on a sign. To die on a lift, fall from a lift. Actually, they are required to survive the fall, I suppose. I'm a relatively high level moron, though, so. Well, I was going to say, I do have a fairly low dexterity, however. No, not a monk. I don't have slow fall. Don't have slow fall. Oh my god. Neighbor just had the door open.
I just sit there and wait for your stupid ass hat tap. Hey, happy hour!
Hey!
Wow,
The
that was
excitement from
so
Splinter Man.
genuine.
Welcome in to another Hit Points Not Required Goofy Hour. I mean, happy hour, where we enjoy some adult beverages, we talk a bunch of nonsense, and we eventually, probably get around to talking something TTRPG related. How y'all
At least
doing?
vaguely.
How are you doing? What's going on, people? It's been like 2 weeks. The world wants to know what's going on in your lives.
My
All right,
oven still
fine.
doesn't work.
Yeah.
What?
My oven still doesn't work.
That's great.
This is a new saga.
Oh no.
Rook's Lawn is so last year. That's so 2024.
Well,
2025. It's all
come
about
spring
Violet
of
Oven.
2025, it's going to be another thing.
It will return. Yes.
However, winter
In the
2025,
meantime, Violet's oven.
Violet's Oven is the new saga.
Well, let me tell you about one of my experiences this week. You all know, maybe everybody out there doesn't know, they should, but you all know I'm a fairly large Hadestown fan. I'm a big fan of the musical. It's fantastic. The music is great. Everything about it is a lot of fun. I did get to see the original cast on Broadway, and then I got to see the secondary cast as changes went out. Both phenomenal. I got some signatures on my tattoo sleeve. It was a great time. Now, there was an announcement last week. The West End production, the London production of Hadestown, the original cast, not the full original cast, but the lead roles are all going to go over there and perform for a month. Probably to do a pro shot. That's what the theory is for everybody out there. But they're going to be out there. We get a thing in our email that says, "Hey, if you want tickets, just make sure you're signed up to the email." And at noon London time, 7 a.m. our time, tickets will go on sale. If you have the link, you just need to click the link beforehand. You'll get put in queue. I found it interesting, first off, that they would start a queue and start sales at noon London time for a London-based event, right? So you're at work and you got to quickly. Why is it noon on? I don't know. Anyway, 7 a.m. my time, Eastern Standard Time. So 6:30 a.m. I get up, got an email link, click the link, you're in the queue. Great. Go and take my dog out, go and do the make a coffee, do the original business, come over there, bam, queue has started. You're like 14,000th in line. Okay, great. That's fine. I'm used to queuing, especially online, long queues online. It's fine, no problem. I watch it tick down. I do some work. I do some other stuff. I refill my coffee cup. It's about 2 hours later. You get down. Okay, you're next in line in the queue. You're right there. Okay, great. So this would be 2 p.m. London time. So if people in London wanted to get tickets to the London production, they would have had to, during their workday, be queued up and watching their thing until 2 p.m. Well, that queue ends, and hold on, we're transferring you over. I'm thinking, hey, they're transferring me over to the site where I can select my tickets. They transfer me over to the actual queue to wait to get in to the thing. So there was a queue that they set up that was 2 hours long to get into the queue to purchase the tickets. Here's something everyone else probably already knows about me, but just in case, I will let you all know. I'm fucking stubborn. So yes, I waited the extra 45 minutes or 50 minutes or almost an hour, whatever it was, in this secondary queue to get in to get the tickets. And I did manage to get tickets. They're not great tickets. They're sort of the back and the balcony. It's not fantastic. If anybody out there knows anything about the secondary market for tickets in London and knows where I can get in there and maybe get some orchestra seats, something closer to the stage, fantastic. Hit me up. call me, DM me, do whatever. I would love to get close. But I did manage to get tickets. But I've never ever heard of a queue for hours long to get waiting in line for hours to get to the line to wait in. Who does this?
So you're going to London to watch Hades Town.
That's the theory, yeah.
That's cool. That's cool. Have you ever been to London before?
Yes.
It's a pretty cool place. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it is nice.
I have enjoyed every bit of time that I spent there.
Yeah. It's kind of rainy and dreary for most parts.
Probably why I like it. I'm pretty fucking Eeyore if you didn't notice.
So
just throw it in the fucking bucket. How about that?
Throw it in the fucking bucket. If I could have just thrown that queue in the fucking bucket,
there you
I
go.
certainly would have.
I'd have drank it.
Although I gotta say, if they had made the time a more convenient time for the many people in London who wanted to get tickets, that queue would have been much worse than it was already.
Yeah, I kind of think it's unfair to the people in London. Like, people in the U.S. probably had a better chance to get the tickets than people in London having
but
to
at the
take.
same time, there are far fewer people who
in
are
the U.S. who are
traveling
to
see it than there are. You know,
I would agree.
I mean,
with that.
not to say there aren't
not,
people.
Yeah,
like,
there's plenty of
there
people,
are,
but
not nearly as
many.
As people who want to see it locally.
But there are a bunch of bastards in the U.S. that probably would have bought the tickets to then resell on the secondary
market. I hope so, because I want to
probably
get that. But no, I feel bad. I mean, there are a lot of people I saw over in London that like couldn't get tickets to a show in their backyard, couldn't get good seats. They have obstructed view seats. Luckily, I did not get obstructed view seats. But it seemed poorly timed for that sort of thing, and they're only there for a short period. It's a month. They're there for a month. It's not like there was like 3 months for the show.
A while though. I mean, that's a good amount of time.
Not for this big production of the big Patrick Page and Evan Noblezada and all the main stars going over there for a limited run. It's got to be to do. I mean, the prevailing opinion is they're going to be making a pro shot, so everybody will be able to watch it. I will try and find out where the camera is and get my head in there or something so you can know that I was there. Whatever. I mean, it's just the getting the tickets, the doing the thing in London. That's all. Whatever. But a line to wait in line for a line.
Honestly, though, I gotta say, I feel like I kind of get it, given how large that queue was. It probably has something to do with trying to keep their system from crashing. Like the ticketing one that you got in second, probably only so many people at a time can access that, so that system doesn't crash by people just rushing it. You know what I mean?
Well, no, but then that's why you have the queue in the first place. The secondary queue.
No, but like everyone in the world can join the main queue to begin with. Do you know what I mean? And they could crash it just as soon as they join. But since the secondary queue, you can't get into it until the other system lets you in. You can't crash it.
Right. But then from there, you go to the ticketing site. It was a full queue that could crash.
So wait, okay, hold on.
Another queue that could crash.
3 steps?
Yes.
Like a queue, another queue, and then the
and
ticketing
then you
site?
get to
okay, well,
exactly.
Fuck that.
Right? My only guess is that it was this really long queue, and then there were a bunch of people that just didn't wait and timed out, their computer crashed, whatever, and they have to refresh the browser, and it would reset you to the end of the line for the queue at that point in time if you close the window. And there were a lot of people there, so when you get to that secondary queue, well, now all those people aren't waiting in line anymore, so there's a lot of people that are timed out, people that aren't paying attention. They don't even realize, because you have to click something to get let into the secondary queue. It doesn't automatically push you.
You have to be there. Yeah.
Which is just dumb. It's just punishing people for not being able to sit there and wait at your computer screen for 2+ hours.
I was afraid that this story was going to end with like I got to the front of the line and the system crashed and I got kicked out because that's the nightmare scenario. You sit there for hours and then just get kicked out.
Oh, let's talk about waiting in line for a Dragon Con hotel, but that's the thing for another podcast. Oh, that gets messed up that happened.
It's making me think of PAX, like issues I've had with PAX before. Yeah, for sure.
There's no, it was not issues like that. It was totally a certain thing to make sure to eliminate down the people that couldn't wait or didn't wait or weren't paying attention before they got.
You have to be really dedicated.
They
they only want the people who really want it. You have to set aside your day. You have to plan for it, clear your schedule
on a Thursday. It's not like a weekend or something like that. It's a work day. But you know what, Rook? Say it with me. This was bullshit.
It's bullshit.
But you know what's
bullshit.
You know what's not bullshit?
Bullshit.
No, bullshit is literally bullshit.
It is.
But what is not bullshit is Christmas cookies.
Oh, shit.
Or as we like to say around here, winter.
That's an interesting response.
You don't like cookies? Are you an anti-cookie person?
Hell no. Do I look like an anti-cookie person? No.
You kind of look like a cookie monster.
I like to eat fucking. Oh yeah, I even dressed like Cookie Monster today.
Oh, well, I mean, for those of you who have access to our Discord, I have just posted an image, one of the Google Trends searches that just like we did over the harvest holiday of cookies searched by state in the U.S. for their cookie recipe for cookies in general. I don't know. I just know that Montana is like the worst ever at celebrating the winter solstice holiday as they search for chocolate chip cookies.
I mean, that's better than my state, so let's move to Montana. But that being said, for the rest of you who failed to join our Discord because you suck or something, we're going to put this graphic up for you to not be able to see. Boom. There it is.
You can squint. I'm sure you can see. You can listen to us talk about the cookies.
Chocolate chip cookies being better than peanut butter bullshit.
Well, I mean, I don't know. Peanut butter is okay, but there were some peanut butter with kisses, peanut butter blossoms, oatmeal peanut butter. There's a lot of weird. What is a
peanut butter blossom? What is a blossom? I've never heard of that type of cookie. Now I have to
Google.
Now I have to Google it,
and then go to the kitchen and throw some in the bucket.
Nope.
Not peanut butter.
Don't touch that shit. Peanut butter blossom cookies is the most, like, all I had to do was type peanut and that came up first. That's
interesting.
Sad.
Well, that's
the peanut butter cookie that has the little stupid Hershey kiss in the middle. I'm sorry.
Well, but
Hershey, not a sponsor.
And what's the peanut butter with kisses?
That's exactly what I thought that was. But
I just
are
Googled
they just
this
different?
shit.
Are they
just different names for the same thing?
Yes.
Yeah.
Classic peanut butter blossom cookies from BettyFuckingCrocker.com. Also not a sponsor. Betty Crocker is not a sponsor.
Betty fucking Crocker is not a sponsor.
She's not. Bitch.
Oh, God.
We're going off the rails on this one quick. Can we just get to the District of Columbia just for 1 second? For those of you that want to go in over there, what more appropriate town to be searching Christmas crack cookies?
Oh, my
goodness.
The gauntlet has been thrown. Christmas crack.
Christmas crack cookies.
It's Maryland too, right?
Well, yeah, but they're basically right there. I mean, it's the same area.
Yeah, but I'm just looking, and there's 2 entries for Christmas crack, and it's both Baltimore and DC, which indeed.
But, DC Christmas crack. It makes sense. I get it somehow. I mean, Hawaii now. My spirit animal with the chocolate peppermint. We get some chocolate peppermint. That's fine. That's good.
I think Massachusetts also had chocolate peppermint there.
Chocolate peppermint. Yeah.
Indeed.
Yes.
I'm a big fan. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a big fan of sugar cookies. Like they're
Sugar cookies.
really good.
Mhm.
Snickerdoodles are my favorite cookie, and Snickerdoodles will continue to remain my favorite Christmas cookie too, because who doesn't want a Snickerdoodle ever? But sugar cookies are pretty good. I'm a big fan.
What about our hoity-toity, snooty Californians with their fancy name for a log? Was that the Christmas log or the Yule
The
log?
Yule
or whatever?
log.
Boucher de Noël.
Oh God.
It's a log. It's not even a cookie.
The only Boucher I know is Bobby.
Bobby Boucher.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I
Mama
don't know.
don't let me play the foosball.
I mean, but by far the most out of any of them, Italian Christmas cookies. The Italian Christmas cookie.
I don't even know what that is.
I'm not really sure either, but I'm not Italian, so I can't tell you. No. I also don't know what a raspberry thumbprint is.
Oh, it's like I mean, it's a cookie with it's exactly what it sounds like. If you pressed your thumb into the middle of the cookie and then filled it with raspberry like jam stuff, basically.
Why
You know
would
what
I
I mean?
want a cookie that someone has pressed their thumb into? That sounds like what you tell people not to eat.
I mean, if you're making cookies, you generally use your hands to make it's. I mean, you gotta trust that whoever made those cookies was being sanitary about it one way or another.
I guess I just believe that I've got a good immune system, but I don't want to see evidence of their thumb being pressed into the cookie. Right?
Okay, so an Italian Christmas cookie basically looks like a fat sugar cookie, like a doughy.
Yeah, I think I know what this is. I'm just double
risen
checking.
sugar
Oh, yeah,
cookie.
yeah. I for sure know what these are.
And what was the other one? A raspberry thumbprint?
Raspberry thumbprint.
That sounds so interesting to me. Do we
Out
need
in
another
Arizona.
episode of Rook Cooks?
You
The
want to
raspberry thumbprint cookie?
because you want to leave your thumbprint in everybody's food. I get it. That's sure. Throw them in the fucking bucket.
As long as we don't leave an onion in the bucket. That's the most important thing.
So on the topic of Christmas cookies, I happen to have from Allie's Cookies here in Atlanta, Georgia, a gingerbread man, which is a pretty. How does one typically eat? Where do you start eating your gingerbread man?
You bite the head off first. Who doesn't do that?
You're a monster.
Rook, do you like lick the eyes off and yell stop staring at me, or do you just go for the thing as well?
I'll be honest with you, I'm not a huge fan of gingerbread. I don't eat a whole lot of gingerbread cookies. Back at a few holidays ago, I am a big fan of pumpkin flavored things, but not gingerbread. So gingerbread cookies for me, not no. And my mother, who for all of her cooking faults is a fabulous baker, never baked gingerbread cookies when I was growing up. So it wasn't a thing that I had till later in life, and not a huge fan.
So that's unfortunate. We should find some other flavor of Cookie Man to make for you, so that you can know the joy of slowly.
I mean, you could just make a sugar cookie with the same.
Yeah, she absolutely makes gingerbread man shaped sugar cookies, which I'm sure I will enjoy tomorrow while I'm not snickerdoodling. Because there will be those there as well, I'm sure.
Snickerdoodle is a great thing to make a verb out of.
But then how do you eat the man-shaped sugar cookie?
The man-shaped sugar cookie. I mean,
I feel like that sounds like a movie title or something.
I don't feel like I started a specific point, like somebody that might be below me on the stream right now. I feel like I just kind of start wherever has the most icing. That would be my guess.
I guess I'm a little different. I believe in waterboarding, or in this case, you got to, and then you could bite the head off.
Soma, did you miss the last episode of Rook Cooks where I was making a drink, but I was also making stuffing while drinking the drink out of the fucking bucket? If you missed it, you should check it out, because I was using the same spatula to stir the drink as I was making the stuffing, and a random rogue onion may or may not have made it into my drink.
Who's to say? But if yes, that should still be up there. If not, it will be up on our YouTube page shortly. Maybe we'll make some TikToks out of it.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely already on YouTube.
Oh,
so
if you
feel
go to our
free
YouTube and
go
watch
check it
the Rook Cooks Happy Hour, I made apple cider sangria and drank, I don't know, 8 or 12 of those apple cider sangrias while I was cooking some, what was it? Pork sausage stuffing? Was that what it was? Yeah, I was cooking some pork sausage stuffing and using the spatula to refill the sangria and stir it while I was cooking the stuffing.
Yeah, it was every bit as
bad,
unsanitary as you might expect it to be.
Yeah. Speaking of, I'm drinking my drink tonight. I used some of the Applejack I had left over from my sangria, and I have Applejack and ginger ale and cranberry for my holiday vibes drink tonight.
Which is
ginger ale, cranberry, and Applejack whiskey.
It's apple brandy Applejack.
Which is interesting, because we were about to segue. There's a wonderful segue into the beverages for adults that you would like to pair with your holiday meal. I happen to have some Mexican hot chocolate right now that I did with a chocolate bomb and added some tequila to it afterwards. It's fantastic. I can also post that in our Discord. There are some lovely options for drinks. Do you all have any experience with those? What's your favorite drink to
rum and Coke?
There we go.
Hot buttered rum appears at 3 again, sir.
Yeah, it does. I'm not sure what number 1 is, though. I've never heard of that. It sounds wassail or
wassail.
Wassail.
It's like a very traditional kind of thing. The punch. I mean, it's like
sounds like that shit's awful. That's what it's very traditional.
It sounds to me like throw it in the fucking bucket. It's made with apple cider, fresh orange, lemon, roasted apples, lots of spice. It sounds like throw it in the fucking bucket to me.
We could have another bucket to throw shit in, and see what we end up with.
All right. What are your feelings on eggnog?
That was where I was going next. What the fuck is eggnog? Can somebody please explain to me what it is, why it exists, and
I'm pretty sure we've exceeded our PG-13 rating for this happy hour.
Did we ever have one?
Probably not. Not if I'm here. Fuck is every other word out of my mouth.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, I can't get my head around drinking eggs. I just can't.
Are you Rocky here and training for a fight?
I'm not gonna judge other people, but I just cannot. I cannot personally.
No. Why should that? Can we just get rid of that? Can we start a petition?
Here's what I'll say though. I don't totally understand eggnog, but there's a place near where I live that around the holidays makes eggnog scones, and they're amazing. I absolutely love them. So whatever like flavoring goes into eggnog, perhaps I would like that, because I like the flavoring of these scones. But I just cannot accept as a person drinking eggs. I can't.
I've had eggnog French toast, and it is fantastic. It's delicious, especially the caramelized and that's crispy on the outside.
Cook it into a food. I'm
right.
here for it.
Yeah.
But I do not want to drink it in a beverage,
No,
particularly with alcohol. That's unsettling to me.
I feel like next time we're in the studio, we need scrambled eggnog now.
Oh my God, what?
I mean,
like just
can you
pour
do that?
eggnog into a pan?
Like, can you do that? I don't know. Rook Cooks, though. I don't know if you've ever seen I don't know if you've ever seen the episode of Rook Cooks, but it was pretty good.
Oh my God. Now I'm curious.
Scrambled eggnog.
What if you made like, I'm sure you can't with just regular eggnog. I'm sure there's not enough egg for it to really do that. But what if you made eggnog with but just increase the amount of egg in it
instead of the milk that you would normally pour into scrambled egg mixture, you pour eggnog into it instead of the milk. Then you can make scrambled eggnog.
Well, I guess if you add milk to your scrambled eggs.
I'm sure there's a way, but
I have very strong feelings about that. But
moving a little further down our list before we get too far down the scrambled egg conundrum, we have mulled wine, which, if you've ever had before, is as horrible as it sounds. That stuff is just nasty. And milk punch. What's the difference between milk punch and eggnog? Is it a little lessy egg?
I don't understand this. I didn't understand what they were showing here because I don't know if it's milk punch the way I am familiar with milk punch, but the thing that I have seen before that is milk punch is clear. It's not white, it doesn't look like milk. It's it's made from milk basically, but it's not milk. It's a clear liquor. It's weird, but it doesn't taste weird.
So
I don't understand why they have a picture that just looks like a fucking glass of milk, though.
So first of all, Soma said that they love mulled wine, and so fuck you, Chuck. But also, the milk punch recipe, milk punch, is it a White Russian? Or similar to a White Russian with
this is okay.
With instead of vodka, we're using some sort of brandy. Is it similar? No, it's God. You put it on a stove. If you have to make a drink on a stove, that's way too much fucking work. Violet and I
can't just throw it in the bucket.
Violet and I had this conversation the other day. I love a good Long Island iced tea. But I will not make it at home because that's too much fucking work.
What, I'm going to stock a full bar to make one drink?
Yeah, well, plus I would also drink the full bar before I ever made the one drink. But that's not the point. The point is, if I'm going to go out to have dinner, I'm going to have someone else make me a Long Island iced tea because I love it, right? Mm-hmm. But if you have to cook some shit on a stove to make a drink... Let's go back to the rum and Coke, folks. Red Cup that shit.
Okay,
let's be clear to you people out there who might be confused at this point in time. No, you do not have to cook a Long Island iced tea on the stove.
But okay, here's the thing though. That's why something like mulled wine or whatever or these drinks, some of these drinks that we're looking at in general, they're holiday things. You normally would not do it.
Okay.
Most of the time you're not going to do it. You do it for a special occasion, if there's guests coming over, or also some of the things that are spiced and stuff, it makes the house smell good when you do it. So there's that side effect. So I feel like it's a special thing. It's almost like an activity to do it. It's a holiday
Did you know that you can go to Bath and Body Works and plug some shit into the wall that also makes your house smell amazing?
That's true. That is true. I have plenty of seasonal candle things for when I need. I mean,
if we're talking Bath and Body Works, Leaves is the best. It's the best scent ever.
Noted.
Evidently, we are talking Bath and Body Works. So, people, thank you for tuning in to the Bath and Body Works segment, brought to you by Leaves that cannot be found on Rook's lawn, nor can they be cooked in Violet's oven.
Oh my! Nothing can be cooked in Violet's oven at the moment.
Nothing at all. So here's the thing with, let me just revisit quickly milk punch, is they are calling this thing milk punch that they have made up, that is some kind of a drink that is milk based. But there's a thing called milk punch that's like its own product. It's like a liquor, like that you can, it's distilled from other things and you use it as an ingredient and stuff, or you can drink it on its own. But like it's very, very different from what they're talking about. And I'm annoyed that they've decided to call whatever the fuck they just made milk punch, because there's already something called that.
Also,
it sounds like we need a special edition of Rook Cooks that occurs in Violet's kitchen, where we sample.
the stovetop still works, right?
The stovetop works.
Yeah,
yes.
there you go. That can happen. However, yeah, I don't know. I don't know about this. I don't know about this.
That was your statement again.
I had a couple of that's a segue into our D&D talk for the night.
Oh, are we going to have an actual topic? Oh man.
Well, yeah, we're supposed to talk about story time, right?
We will. Yes.
Tell me a story, topic. Daddy.
Wow. I told you not to ask for that on the air, man.
I apologize. Tell me a story, Papa.
Quickly before we get into that, we need to figure out who drinks on the house tonight.
Yes,
and
true.
I would like to nominate anyone who does not wait in line to wait in another line.
To buy tickets for a show in another fucking country.
Yes. If you, look, I'm a rare breed.
One person in the world tonight is drinking on the house. They are on this stream.
No. It's the other way around.
Oh.
If you haven't done that, this is like the never have I ever version. Yeah,
Gosh.
okay.
I'll drink then.
If you're the type of person who would be like, fuck this queue, I'm not waiting for 20,000 people. If you are a relatively normal individual, cheers to you for not wasting all that time of your life.
I would say I'm pretty sure I probably waited in a queue of 20,000 people to log into World of Warcraft at some point in my younger life. So it probably did not take 2 hours, though.
Fair enough. What if you had waited in that queue, got to the front, and we're told we're transferring you to a secondary
to another
queue?
server?
You would have thrown
and you had
whatever
to make a new character? Oh, God. Would that be awful?
Right? There's a lot of bullshit right there.
Bullshit.
But from that story to other stories, we're talking TTRPGs this evening, and TTRPGs are essentially about telling stories. And when I think of the great stories and the great stories that I have watched or read or seen, I think of books and movies. Dead Poet Society comes to mind. Unforgiven. Some of my top movies and television shows. Right, great stories. The Expanse or Game of Thrones. Right, there's deep storytelling in there, and I think there are some elements from there that, when you look at them, there are these established storylines and this established world building that's told through the characters and the character development. And that's where this connection to the story comes from. Other shows have great, fantastic characters, but mediocre plot or mediocre pacing or stories. And at the end of the day, you'll remember characters or a line or something, but you won't remember the world and the story and everything about that. And I'm interested in your opinions on what do you like? What are your favorite books? What are your favorite movies and TV shows? And how have you seen application of those in TTRPGs? Don't everybody go at once.
Unforgiven was such a good fucking movie. Ooh. Right?
And there was such change to it with the, not just, the characters went through a bunch of changes, and you really cared about them and what happened to them in this world that was very well established. But the lighting that was used and all of the different the viewpoints and the things that were done as the story was unfolding and as you were watching it through this camera to really get to feel the emotion as you get to the point where William Money kicks open the bar and shoots the unarmed barkeeper. And when little Bill Daggett asks him why he shot an unarmed man, he turns around and says, should have armed himself if he's going to decorate his saloon with my friend, right? And you really feel the impact of those lines and that story at that point in time.
Yeah, I gotta say, when you mentioned this idea of this topic, as someone who spent many years of my life getting multiple English degrees and studying literature, my brain just kind of overloaded and shorted out. It's just like, what makes a good story? Like shut down.
Focus in. Just a little detail. We don't need everything.
Too many answers. Too many answers.
So
there
are. So I've got something I think relevant to this, specifically to the question you asked, which what makes a good story translates to a TTRPG. Like, I think from my childhood, at least, I think that Dragonlance and Dragonlance Chronicles is the epitome of that, right? Like, these people that worked for TSR ran a campaign, created a world and ran that campaign and wrote books about it. And it turned into what, while it was briefly reprised in 5e, was a largely lost world to Wizards of the Coast, to D&D. But the story was fantastic. The other big fantasy authors, Terry Brooks, R.A. Salvatore, like, definitely better writers. But Margaret Weiss, man, could she tell a story? Like, she could weave a story for you. And I loved the Dragonlance series. And it still resonates with me to this day. I agree, Bondu. I agree 100%.
I mean, there are examples. I mean, Expanse as a TV show and a book, fantastic with the world building and telling the story. But similarly, that started out as a TTRPG. It was they were playing their own TTRPG, created their own rules, created their world, and then went and wrote books based on that, and took some of those stories that they had developed together at the tabletop and crafted them into that. And it's a fantastic series in the way that it again evokes emotion for you, and it has a story to be told, and the story is solid, the writing is solid, and the characters are also portrayed very well, and you care about them, and you care about the world as its own character. There's the depth of that and the interplay between the two, in my mind, are what end up making the stories interesting. And if you spend too much time with the characters, and it's all about the characters, and you don't have enough plot and enough story, it definitely falls flat. If you have this fantastic world and this story, but there's no characters to experience it through, it falls flat. You need a certain balance between the two, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, as I was kind of thinking about this question, one of the things that I thought of that to me feels like one of the most important things for a story to be engaging and effective is the idea of questions that, like, a good story should, in the reader or viewer or whatever, should constantly be raising questions and answering them and raising new ones. And that's what keeps you engaged. And, like, there are a lot of ways to do that. And, like, the character stuff, for one, like, you have to care at least a little bit what's happening to the characters to have those questions of what is going to happen to them. Like, how are they going to do this thing they want to do? Or, are they going to succeed at what you have to actually care about that to have that question in the first place.
Right.
But like a story that makes you continually want to know something, like have a question and want to know the answer and keep going forward to try to find the answer, and a story that can give you answers to those questions, not just tease it out constantly, which is kind of a cheap trick that some stories will do. Some TV shows will do that. The prime example, yes.
How about we give you 1,000
just
questions?
You don't want to just raise questions and never
answer
them. But being able to answer them in a way that feels satisfying and still continuing to raise new questions to keep pushing you forward through the story, I feel like is important. And I think that's something that you can definitely carry very much over into TTRPGs. Especially from like a DM's perspective and that sort of thing, is like your players, what kind of questions are they asking as they play? What do they want to know? What are they trying to find out? And let them find out those things and let them have those successes and answer their questions, whether it's successes or failures, but answer their questions one way or another, but then raise new ones. And that's what keeps you moving forward through a story.
Yeah. And another one is what's the story about? Where is the story? And it's not always the obvious answer. There's a lot of times, and I talked about in Unforgiven, characters going on an arc. Dead Poet Society, characters go on an arc, and sometimes that arc and those character developments and what they learn, that's the real story there, not the actual things that happened and went through, but the emotional journey.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can have and tell a story, when you're in, especially in TTRPGs, when your characters can go on an emotional journey, then when you're caring about the other characters at the table, when people are caring about what happens to your character and the angst and the emotional parts they have, not just the injuries they're taking or things that are happening, but when it pulls their emotions, that's when you've got something captivating and a good story there. And pacing is also very important. And I think it's important at a TTRPG table, and as well as in a book or a TV show or a movie, right? If it's not paced very well and it's dragging somewhere, or it's like all action and you never get any kind of a break or respite, if the pacing isn't good, then you're gonna lose people. So I think that's also an important element.
When you talk about pacing, while short-lived, can I just say that Firefly, the pacing of that show was fantastic. That slow roll of who River was and what River was, and the reveal towards the end of the season, like so phenomenal. And of course, didn't go on, so they kind of threw it all in your face with Serenity. But the pacing of Firefly, I thought, was tremendous. There were some throwaway episodes in there where they were just on a job doing a thing, and so much character development over the course of that one short season that they had.
Yeah, there was some stuff in there. There's also some stuff I loved, Mr. Robot and Dark, where as much for the story that was being told as for the chances that they took. In Mr. Robot, Sam Esmail took a bunch of chances, like, I want to push the envelope a little bit. There was an episode that was a single shot for the entire episode to try and get that to be done. There were a lot of choices that you make and things that you try and do, and when you're trying to do something and it's a little different, and you try and do something a little different at the TTRPG table and be like, oh, that's different, I've never done that before, it gives you a little interesting something. So the way you tell that story in that manner can also be energizing. It brings attention and keeps your attention. And sometimes it won't work. It may fail, and especially if you do something and hey, I'm trying to do this thing, and as you're going, it fails miserably. that can also be emotionally rewarding at the table and everybody having a good time. One of our epilogues that we did, I don't know if it got posted or recently, but we were having technical issues at the beginning, and there was just all this, hey, can you hear? Yeah, I can hear you. And then somebody would start talking, they would talk right over the person, and everybody would stop and reset again, and it was and everybody was laughing. It's such a fun time when you're having those interplays. And hey, failures can be interesting, failures can be fun, and failures to base your story around, that they don't, everything doesn't always have to be a success. You can end something in a failure and leave on that note. Again, coming back to Dead Poets Society, that the ending there, which I won't spoil this time if people are just 40 years behind catching up on movies. But it's both a positive and negative ending at the same time. Hadestown, the tale of Orpheus and Eurydice. And if you don't know what happens with Orpheus and Eurydice,
That's your own fault.
help you.
It's so old.
At that point. But the tragedies, they leave you with feelings, and they leave you with emotions, and it's a journey that is rewarding in its own right. So everything doesn't have to be a success or end up in a success failure.
And I think that comes back to that idea of like, what is the story actually about? And it's not necessarily about like the plot. Like, and so like you may fail at something, but like if your real story is like a character arc, like an emotional character arc or something like that, like the failure at some task or whatever could be what brings a satisfying conclusion to the real story. That's the emotional story. Like it's that's why failure can sometimes be actually the right note to hit, depending on where your story is.
Yeah. No, for sure. And at your table too. I mean, I think failure is important from a couple of perspectives. One, it lends gravitas to the story. If you never fail, if you guys always end up being successful and winning, essentially, then it doesn't mean anything anymore. Winning doesn't mean anything without failure, without that chance of failure. But there's also the rewarding of having failed and then succeeding, or the emotional, like we were just talking about, the emotional response to failure and to things happening on a down note that is somehow uplifting. Like anybody that's ever listened to or enjoyed the blues certainly understands just commiserating and understanding that sadness as a feeling.
What about when we talk about great stories? What about Sin of a Woman? Like the plot of the movie is this kid is going to babysit an old man for a weekend because he doesn't have anything else to do. That's the plot of the movie. And holy crap, it's got to be in my top 10 of all-time movies. Like, so good.
Well, but what's the arc of the movie?
There's so much. Like it's about Chris O'Donnell's coming of age, right? Like that's essentially most of the movie, but it's just there's so much character development packed into a weekend for all the characters involved.
Yeah, I would say it's as much about Al Pacino's character taking an arc to understand there is something to continue living for, and what this person dealing with as a young adult and trying to deal with those challenges over there, and the challenges they've experienced in their life, and the things that they can impart, even though they've had some bad things happen because of those decisions, right? I think there's that parallel or those two arcs going on there, which is what really makes that movie rather than just the one. You're most invested in both of those characters.
Both of them, very much so, very, very much so.
Yeah. Violet, was there a movie
or
a book or a particular?
I was just thinking about one of my favorite movies,
Yeah.
Joe versus the Volcano, which is always a silly answer to the what's your favorite movie question, but it is like it's very goofy in a lot of ways, and it's about a guy being tricked into going to jump into a volcano. But what it really is, there's so many incredible moments in that movie that are just so striking, and like visually and just like emotionally, and it's about this guy who had a very like boring life that he was very dissatisfied with, and changing things about his life made him this sort of forced change, made him sort of wake up for the first time and actually start to notice things in the world and be more aware of himself and the world around him and appreciate things in a different kind of way. And that's what the story actually is, of course. But it's like this very goofy premise. It's like super goofy. But the real story is really a wonderful story, and it's one of my favorite movies of all time for sure. But
and fun and whimsy is also perfect. Bringing whimsy to a table or a campaign, and the Humblewood stuff is great for that. We did a one shot not too long ago where the inspiration came from Over the Garden Wall, which is a very whimsical.
Oh my. I had never seen it before Meadows said to watch it, and I did not stop until I was done watching the entire thing. It's very good.
It's basically just a movie anyway, because they're like,
it's a
10
continuous
minutes.
Story. It's like a short series, and it's just the one season.
Yeah, and each episode's like 10 minutes long. It's not like they're like 30, 40-minute episodes or something like that. They're real just like these little snippet episodes. But no, it's fantastic to bring whimsy, and you could tell, I mean, just because especially when we're talking Dungeons and Dragons, we gravitate toward these more serious epic tales and all that. Tales of whimsy are also
and it can be very much that sort of like whimsical sort of something on the surface, but still be a very serious story in terms of like character emotional arcs and things like that. Like even if the premise is like cutesy. But I was also thinking of one other thing, a more contemporary example, which very much I think is a great demonstration of my point before about raising and answering questions in a way that feels satisfying, which is one of my absolute favorite recent TV shows that's coming back soon, thank God, Severance. I love Severance so much. Okay, so it does an incredible job of like raising questions for sure. It's if you haven't seen it, highly recommend. It's very strange, but it also answers questions. It doesn't just leave you hanging in that lost kind of way. And one of the things I remember the most was after I watched the first episode of Severance, at the end of the episode, the first thing I said was, wow, I would love to see that scene from this other character's perspective. And the next episode started with that scene from the other character's perspective. And I was like, yes, I was like, they get it. They're giving me exactly what I want. And the second season is starting soon, finally. And there's a million questions that I still have, but there are also a lot of things from the first season that did get answered and did have some kind of conclusion to them. So it doesn't just tease you along. It gives you something, which I think is great and is such a good show. So good.
It is absolutely fantastic. Please stay tuned to this channel for our Severance podcast as we dissect each episode afterwards.
Yes, you don't even know. I was like taking screenshots of that show and like analyzing shit in the background. I was very, very into
Oh my.
But yes, you are correct. Somebody in the chat was talking about Foundation. Foundation is also an excellent sci-fi, as is Silo. If you guys are not, don't sleep on Silo. Second season airing now, and they are definitely raising more questions, semi-answering some questions, not answering other questions.
Yeah, they have given some answers. They're not doing the big, lost tease kind of thing, but
But yeah, speaking of how we look at things through other perspectives, I think I
Let's
mentioned
look
last
at
time.
it from the consumer perspective and the capitalist perspective as we roll into ads starting soon.
Oh, fantastic! We love
I
ads.
only said that because I don't think we're done exploring this topic, so we're going to be a while. I can't dismiss them forever. So,
Mhm.
Well, I think we will. Do we need to take a break during the ads? Or are we going to take a quick
hey,
5-minute
if you want
refill your beverage, Rook?
no, I'm good.
What?
What?
Are you
What?
okay?
How does that happen?
Did you
does
have
that
a
happen?
backup beverage?
No, I probably should refill.
I seriously considered, I was going to use a smaller glass than this, and I was like considering having just like a little like pitcher or something to do refills at my desk.
Do it. Do it. Nobody will stop you. We could always take a short break as well. Are we in ads? Are they coming
we're
soon?
in
Talk about
ads.
that.
We're in ads right now.
Fantastic.
Let's just keep talking then, whatever.
Yeah, can
Yeah,
anybody
fuck 'em.
tell us if anybody's still able to hear us through the ads? Does it just like minimize and run ads on the side, or does it block everything when it runs the ads? What do these ads look like? I'm curious.
Twitch, who knows? Who knows what Twitch does?
If we could have a story about the ads, what would it be? What would the arc look like?
Rum and Coke.
Rum and Coke. That's an arc.
That's just so
Arc
much.
in a
That's
can.
funny. I do not have turbo soma.
But do start Silo. Silo is absolutely fantastic.
I've never
really,
seen
really good.
Severance. What's it about?
Oh my god, it's
So,
so
all right.
good.
Wait,
So
where is
imagine-
it? Where is it?
imagine-
That's the first thing.
It's basically any
It's
town in
Apple.
USA.
Oh,
No,
I
where
don't-
to watch
okay.
it.
Yeah,
It's Apple.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where is it? I don't think he's looking for a setting. But so here's the pitch on Severance. Say you go into work every day, and you don't want to have to think about your regular life, the wife nagging you, the troubles you've got going on, whatever your business is at home. You want to just be able to concentrate on work. And then when you leave work, now that may be a foreign concept for you, Rook, but just imagine leaving work and going on to the rest of your life. You don't have to think about, there's no lasting questions. There's no whatever, this happened at work, I got to deal with that in the morning. I've got this report. You don't do anything. It completely severed between the two. And so what the premise is that this company basically does an operation on you, and there's a work you and after work you, and they don't exist. Like your after work thing,
You have
is
no
completely
memory
shut
of
off.
anything that happens to you in work, and then it's like your brain switches into work mode, and then the work you has no memory of anything that happens outside of work. So there's two, and they call them innies and outies, or the outer persona and the inner persona. It's so fucking good. It's so good. I can't even. Christopher Walken in that show. Oh my god.
I don't have Apple
Incredible.
TV, so
Well,
sad face.
You should sign up and subscribe to Apple TV. And I don't just say that as an Apple shareholder. I say that because some of the best shows are really, I mean, Silo is Apple
And I
TV.
definitely would never
Foundation.
say in front of an Apple shareholder that someone could steal it illegally from the internet. And
Oh
share
yeah,
it with you.
could always do that. I mean, if you need to be added, it don't matter. But no, the lineup of shows on Apple TV, they
There's some good ones.
they spend a good chunk of money, and they're the opposite of the Netflix model, where we're just buy everything, throw everything at the wall, watch whatever you want to watch, and hopefully you keep subscribing because something else that we're going to throw at the wall is going to work. They sit there. We're going to invest in this. This seems like a good show. We're going to invest in this. Seems like a good thing. And they produce, from my opinion, more quality shows. Fewer shows, but more quality shows than a lot of the other networks.
But yes, Severance, one of the things, it's a very like world buildy kind of show too. Like the world of Severance is very interesting. It's one of the things that there are like a lot of questions about, like, you know, this company that does this and what's going on with this
How did it
procedure that they've
start?
developed.
What
Do
are
they use
what are
it?
their goals?
Yeah,
All those
yeah.
things.
Yes, there's a lot of interesting questions just about the world, and it's so good. It's just so good. And Adam Scott, he's the main character. Adam Scott fucking rules. I love Adam Scott. So it's great. It's a great show.
But talking about things from a different perspective, or different perspectives even, leans back, and I think I hit on this a little bit. Was it the last happy hour when we were talking about lore and everything? But one of my favorite books out there associated with that is Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson, where the story is told basically in one city, but you have perspectives that you're given of starting with two sisters, one that is sent off to marry into the elite, the ruling class, and so you get this introduction to the highborn society in this city, in this culture, from an outsider, where they had, I thought you snapped the heads off of your gingerbread cookies all the time. No, we don't actually do that. This is what we do, and this is how we do stuff. And then the other sister that goes after her, that has to sneak her way into the city and gets robbed and is living at the very bottom of the city. And so you get those two perspectives, and then a couple other perspectives about what's going on in the city, and it's all experiential storytelling. It's just your characters learning as they go and learn. I thought something was some way. Well, no, here's how it actually works. And I think that's an excellent thing to keep in mind when you have a lot of lore in your world, to just, okay, what are some experiences where they can understand how things work here, and try and get the characters to go through those experiences.
I think the fictional world that I know the most of is Terry Pratchett's Discworld, because it's like 45 books. It's like quite a series, and I've read them all multiple times.
That sounds like work. That's not for me.
If you
Terry
severed
Pratchett's
yourself,
Discworld, not for me.
No, you don't understand.
Also not a sponsor.
Because the thing is, they're funny, and like they're a very easy, engaging read. Like it's the kind of thing that just immediately sucks you in, because it's very entertaining. But you know, it all
like
takes
the House
place
of
in this
Ill
one
Repute.
world. Yes.
Sorry, I just thought I'd shamelessly plug that real quick.
But
while
you know,
we're also talking about world building.
Yes.
Sorry, I'll stop interrupting.
You see throughout this very long series, there are sort of sub-series within it, but there's stories told in different parts of this world, and there's a lot of crossover where, you know, you'll read one book that's all about this particular character, and another book that someone else has heard of that character and maybe knows something about them, and maybe it's not quite what you read, and you know, you get different perspectives from different parts of the world on different things, which is really interesting. Even historical figures, you know, there'll be something that sort of jumps back in time, and you'll get like the whole story of someone who's just like a briefly mentioned like legend in another book, and like it's just really interesting to not have it laid out as here is the history of my world, but just telling a series of little stories, and that experiential sort of storytelling through each of those stories over time, you get this fuller picture of the world.
And some of it also comes down to know your table. What does your table want? What is your table looking for? Because there are other series like Dark, I think, is a fantastic TV show. But you really have to be invested because of the way it jumps all around and things. I know most of the people, I had to myself make a physical chart of who was what in where and when, in order to keep track and figure out what was going on. And I won't be any more spoilery than that, because it's less than 50 years since it's been out there. But from a similar perspective in a novel series, the Malazan series, the Malazan Book of the Fallen, is probably what I would consider the #1 fantasy series of all time, my opinion, but also one that I don't recommend to a lot of people because it is crunchy. It's hard to get through. There's so much going on and so much going everywhere that you have to be able to be invested. Like Rook would never get more than 10 pages through it. Just don't know what's going on. It's a big book.
To be
it's
fair, I
daunting.
can't read, so
I mean, there are audiobooks. Have you not heard of these?
I do
Books
do a
on
lot
tape.
of fucking
Books on
driving.
tape for your generation. But no, it's it's amazing, and getting all the way through, it's very rewarding. But it's a hard read. It's not an easy Harry Potter or Discworld or one of these reads that that's almost young adult accessible level where it flows along. C.J. Archer series, a couple of them, they're very easy read sort of things. Malazan is the opposite of that. Just like Dark in a TV show perspective is, you have to be committed to it. There's like a level that you have to get into and involved and be like, I'm going to be very confused for a very long time, but then it's all going to eventually make sense to me. And if you like that, then those are the sort of things for you. And there's tables that people will tell stories like that, and you could be happy there. There are other people that are like, oh man, it's just too confusing. It doesn't make sense. I just want to turn off, show up, roll some dice, and kill some monsters and have a little bit of story wrapped around it. It's fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
And I think that's a lot of sort of what some of my first thoughts were when I had brain overload at the idea of what makes a good story, because like it's going to be different for different people. Like there are certain things that make a story engaging to like a human brain on some level, but a lot of it is going to be different based on personal tastes and that sort of thing and what people enjoy. And that's true both in the kinds of stories that people like and the kind of games they like to play. So that's going to be true with a TTRPG as much as it is in what kind of like movies and books and things like that people prefer.
For sure. And then there are books that drink like a rum and coke, and
I would read that shit. And I can't read. I would just say, like, that's why the last few comments that you all have had is why it's so important to establish what type of story you want to tell at the beginning of your campaign, right? If you're going to show up week to week, especially in person, if you're going to drive and show up somewhere week to week to play D&D, don't do it as a form of punishment. Make sure you're showing up to the right table, and make sure that everybody is collaborating together to share in the same experience.
Yeah, that's one of the questions, and the Rook, you know this very well, that I like to ask about people when we're talking about a potential table and putting them together is exactly this: what kind of TV shows do you like? What kind of books do you like? When you all have,
and if you say you hate Justified, then fuck you.
You would be justified. But also fantastic, as was Deadwood. Another one up there.
Yes, we know. I feel like, how many times has that come up? We know we all love Deadwood.
It's come up off the air a lot more, I think, than on the air. But yeah, if you like, it doesn't have to be like a cross section. But if you are Justified and Deadwood and Game of Thrones, and there's another person at the table who is very much whatever the opposite end of that would be, maybe a lot of anime or a lot of things that are less gritty and grounded, although there is gritty anime too. But if you're not all in that same area of things that you like to do and watch, and there's no overlap, it's probably not going to work out. I mean, as much from you're not telling the story that you want to tell, as you're not going to get the references that the other person, they make jokes and they make references, and you're like, yeah, no, that means nothing to me, and you make a joke, oh, that means you're not in that same space, and so you're not going to enjoy yourselves at the same table. So I think that's a very important thing to look for.
That idea of not telling the same story, I think, is really important. That, like, if you find that the people at your table are trying to tell different stories, that's going to cause a problem. You know, if one person is trying to just do something really kind of fun and, you know, sort of lighthearted, and someone else is trying to do something really gritty and serious, those people are both going to be really frustrated with each other. And neither one of them is necessarily wrong. They just shouldn't be at the same table.
Well, and I think some of it comes down to I remember and again, some of you probably have heard me mention this before, but one of the greatest pieces of advice I got from improvising and on improvising is try to stay in that 5 to at most 10% away from normal, regular, wherever the center is. Try and stay in that area, because maybe I want to tell a grittier story, but I'm like 5% grittier than normal, and you want to tell a fanciful wild story, but you're 5% away from normal. You're in that boundary, and you guys can accentuate and tell that story together. I'll tell you a story where I was asked to invited to come into a Barovia campaign, and I entered into Barovia with a character who had run away to Barovia to get away from their ex-wife and alimony payments they had to make. Right, so not your traditional deep dark story, and there was more in there, but I didn't go off the handle and leave it. You just dole that stuff out, and I'm just sort of hiding, right? You just start off, you don't come full force at it, and you sort of move in the way, and you accentuate and you add little bits, and you just 5%, just try and be 5%.
And I mean, and that's collaboration. That's what collaboration should be about, is finding balance together between the different things that people want to do. You don't have to totally give up what you're interested in. It's when people are pulling in opposite directions that it becomes a problem. But yeah, if you're really collaborating and working together, and there's that sort of push and pull and give and take, and you're able to, do what you want to do, but keep it within a certain boundary so that other people can still do what they want as well, and you're all still sort of existing in the same space, that's ideal.
And also watch Severance and Justified.
Yeah.
Watch everything we have mentioned.
Watch Severance quick. New season's coming out. You got like 2 weeks.
I mean, it's a binge. You watch it in a weekend.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I'm sure I will before the next one comes out. I'll do a rewatch.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, what are we would love to hear on the Discord. Come over to the Happy Hour channel. Talk about the shows and books that you liked, and maybe we'll see something we haven't seen yet and check it out. Maybe we'll do that Severance podcast and review. Maybe we'll do some
fun for that.
Maybe we'll do an Unforgiven watch on the Discord or something like that.
Also, apparently, I'm gonna film some dangerous shit that I'm gonna do tomorrow. So maybe join our Discord to see that crap.
Gosh.
Don't put this out there.
I don't know about the legal liability of you publicly posting the dangerous things that you do.
What?
Oh.
Did I say that? I thought we were just talking.
But no, there are some fantastic shows out there. There's some amazing books to read out there. And I love recommendations. Like I was talking about C.J. Arthur. I recently got recommended the Glass and Steel series. It's like 13 books, but they're all like an afternoon read. They're really short, couple hundred pages or something like that. And it's I know pages, words. It's hard with you. I'm sure there are books on tape. I can get you that cassette player for your car.
I can barely see, man. Just put these on here.
Oh no.
Wait,
do you
what?
occasionally have to wear one pair of glasses?
Yeah, they're only readers. No, they're barely more than readers.
So are these.
Oh God.
My
The
second tier of glasses.
also tune in for our ophthalmology podcast.
Oh, that
Oh,
might be the
no.
next happy hours. Who knows?
We have multi-purpose glasses. We have I'm blind even with my glasses, and we have beer goggles. So we're all good. Maybe the rum and coke goggles. I'm
Rum
not
goggles.
sure. Whatever they are. Um, but yes, we all have our challenges in life, and it's the failures of things like our eyesight that make us appreciate being able to see and read and enjoy all of those things. And with that, I think we have taken up quite enough of all of your lives, but we appreciate you. We love every one of you. And remember, hit points are not required to enjoy a tasty beverage, which I need to go and refill. I think we all need to go and refill. He's
What happens when we run
timing.
late?
That's what happens when we run long.
Good night, everybody. Have a great holiday for those of you that celebrate.